Hello there, I'm another Magento dev, and this video is probably the most requested type of video that I get via the comments on my channel. And we're going to look at the Magento Checkout. So in terms of the Magento Checkout, I think one of the reasons why it's the most requested video in terms of people wanting to really understand it and do some stuff with it is, I think, having obviously I've worked on it today, I thought to myself, I'll sort of refresh my memory, I'll get to grips with it. And it's almost like outside of Magento in a way that it's kind of a, what I would suggest you see it as is kind of it's almost like a single page application built primarily with HTML files, JavaScript files, all sort of appended, if you like, to a main sort of checkout route. And we're going to look at how we can work with it in this video. We're going to look at customizing it. We're going to look at putting in a custom module that interacts with the checkout in sort of a best practices way, and it really is a sort of a component based approach what we're going to look at. So essentially what I've got here, I'll just make it a little bit bigger, is a Magento 245, and I've already started by adding the bare bones module here, just saying, look, we're going to be writing a module for the checkout. There's nothing else in this install. It is just a base Luma theme. I've got no theme, to be honest. I've got no theme, and I'm just going to write this module in. As you can see, nothing much happening on checkout now. We've got a little product added to it, but that's as far as we have gone with it. And yeah, it is pretty much a single page application, the checkout. So where do we start? Well, right, the first thing we need to do is we need to get into the structure of the checkout. We need to kind of understand how it renders, and the best way to understand that is by going and looking for, in vendor, Magento module checkout is the best place, as you would imagine, to start. So where are we? Module checkout, checkout. There we go. Right, and in view, which is like the front end components, we've got layout, and we want to be looking at index. Right, and I've covered this file. We've talked about this file before, at least. I did a live stream a bit back where I sort of went through this file and sort of like appraised its complexities, and I think I'm coming out on the side of, I like it. I like when you understand it. Obviously, it's a beast. It is a beast. I mean, in terms of an XML file, I mean, there's more nests here than on a bed edition of Planet Earth by David Attenborough. Like we've got a ridiculous amount of nesting going on. But once you get to grips with how to sort of read it, it becomes quite easy to get your customizations in there. Okay, so what we're gonna do to sort of test out this theory, right? Well, first of all, we're gonna add a checkout index to our module. So what we need to do is we need to come in here. I need to add a folder, and I need it to be in view. Basically, I'm looking at this file path here, view front end layout. Did I just click on search like an idiot? I did, didn't I? Look at that. Oh, nutter. Right, let me just do that properly. Don't know why I did that. Why do I keep doing that? Oh, what am I doing? Right, okay, let's start again. New folder. Excuse me. View. Front end. And then layout. Okay, now I have my file structure. Okay, and in there I'm going to be writing a checkout underscore index dot XML. Right, I'll get a little bit of scaffolding there, which Isn't really that useful, to be honest. Isn't really that useful. But I suppose I'll tell you what. I'll get rid of it for now. I'm going to show you a couple of. We're going to build up to it. We're going to build up to it. It's going to be a decent length video. This. Feel free to skip through to the parts that you actually want to learn about. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna relax the problem. I am going to use Occam's razor, and I'm going to first of all get a block showing on the checkout page. The best way to approach this checkout page is with Occam's razor. It is do the simple thing first, work your way up to the complex thing. If you just write a lot of complex code and then it doesn't show, the amount of nesting that you're going to have to do in terms of getting the block or the component, if you like, into the right area of the checkout is it's quite overwhelming at first. So get something showing first, then work on your actual functionality is my advice. Okay, so right, first thing I'm going to do is just get a block knocking about on the checkout. Now, in terms of getting a block knocking about on the checkout, what you've got is to work with is a checkout. Well, it was there actually. You've got a content page. You've got a content handle, a content container. And to get a block working, it's the same as any other sort of sort of method of getting blocks working throughout the rest of the site. It's the only part of it really that doesn't actually require any JavaScript or any sort of like HTML files. You can't. It's the only part. It's the only time you can actually add a block that is a PHTML file like this one. So we'll just do that first, just to sort of get used to it. So, and it helps us build our folder structure as well. So in here we need a templates file, and in that templates file I'm gonna add a index.html just to keep it simple. We won't be using this, but in there I'm just gonna write test, and this is to say, look, are we compiling everything properly? Are we working in the right area? Are we, you know what I mean? Can we get something to show? It's sort of like the first test, if you like, and I'm just going to stick a block in there. So what I'm going to do is, just to make it sort of, just to explain, is I'm going to add a block. I'm going to add a block folder. We might use this in the future. Like your functionality for your checkout might get complicated and you might need a block. You might want to use a PHTML file and you might want to get some complicated functionality. So we're going to add a block, and in that block we're going to add a block called, call it index.php. And that's going to give us some boilerplate code, which, yeah, it'll get our block showing. We don't really have to do anything to that. It's just going to get the template context. Right, and we're going to call that index. Okay, no, we're not. We're going to call it index. Right. Right, and this I expect is going to add a block to our checkout called test, or with the text test in it. There we go. We can see it straight away. So that's fairly straightforward. It's it's whacked a block in there. You know, we know we're working in the right area, right? We've got the checkout index. We know we're working in the right area, but we want to do something more complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some areas. Actually, I'm gonna first of all I'm going to add a little block to like shipping methods or shipping address. I ain't decided yet. And then I'm going to show you how you can sort of work your way through and compare and move it around in the checkout and sort of inject your component into different areas. And then I'm going to show you how you can debug more complex functionality. And when I show you this method towards the end of the video of how to sort of access the quote in JavaScript, the world is your oyster. You'll be able to do anything, basically any sort of complicated calculations with your cart data, and it's really quite powerful. So I'm going to show you that, but first we're going to build up to it. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this straight away, and we're going to add in, or we're going to reference the checkout route. And forgive me, I am going to paste this from something else because it's quicker that way, and it'll stop me from making typos. So, but all of this can be found in here, look. So I'm dropping down really. I'm looking at this block here. Everything is rendered to this PHTML file on the checkout. like I said, it's an SPA, it's a single page application. Everything is rendered there, and then it uses this argument structure of argument and item and to inject your components. So I'm just going to move this to the front here. Right, so the first thing we've got is a checkout route. And now we can start with our argument structure. So the first part of it is, and we'll build up to it. So the first part of it is arguments, and then we'll do argument. We're going to end that one there. And then we'll make sure that if you make a mistake here, actually, Magento's alright. Watch this, right? So if I make a mistake and I don't close that, and then I try and reload it, gives me some good error reporting, to be honest, in developer mode. Look, so don't be afraid. Like, if you make a mistake, it's not too bad. So it's telling me that what is it telling me here? Line 4's alright. So it's basically saying, look, premature end of data tag. So I know that basically I've missed off an ending tag, and they're fairly easy. Once you know that that's the problem, they're fairly easy to remedy. Right, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the components and checkout, and I'm going to show you where I get that from. So basically, if I close, so argument, JS layout is where I am. I'm going to close types because I'm not in there. Components, checkout, this here. Right, so I know I'm entering into the sort of the checkout area, if you like, to be able to start adding my own component in there. Right, so here I go. I'll straighten that out a bit. So I'm in the checkout area, and then the checkout has children, and then it has steps. It has steps, actually, if I want to use steps, or if I want to go into the steps, and since I've mentioned it, I will do. Right, so I have children there, and I'm going to show you what the different areas are that from this point you can get into. So from this area here, we've got children, and this is all the stuff at the top, the errors and that. Errors, authentication, all that. But now we've got options. Look, we've got the progress bar, estimation. We've got steps, which is the main part, and then we've got sidebar, which is where your load this, which is where all your totals and everything, sort of your order summary is. So we've got some areas here, but Magento, it's even better than that. It's even better than that because it gives you specific. So is this, we'll say the shipping step. Look, it gives you specific areas where you can inject your own stuff. I mean, obviously it's saying before login field, so you can put stuff in these areas, look, and it makes it really extendable. Magento does have this. If you look hard enough, look, there's loads of little areas what all make sense where you can go in and you can add your extensions without messing about and with Magento's default functionality. You can sort of leave that alone, and then you can add your customizations into specific areas, and it just makes it easier. So if you can find a way to add your customizations or extensions into extended components into these specific areas, it will make your life a lot easier. Right, so we're going to go into steps here, like I mentioned. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add steps. So now we're looking at steps, which is, as we sort of saw there was a little spoiler, and it's in steps. We're looking at the shipping step or like the billing step. They're the two steps, right? So, but they're familiar to you. If you know anything about the Magento checkout, shipping and step and billing step are pretty important, right? So, right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into the children. We don't need to worry about the UI component, the sort order, because they sort of terminate themselves, and we can keep those the same for now. We're not in this tutorial. We're not going to be doing anything with those. They're not that important for this. So the next part is, hang on, have I jumped to children, and then I want to reference the shipping step. So I pasted that in haste there, and it's not actually what I wanted to do. So we're going to go shipping step. So these are all items, like and pretty straightforward, although quite convoluted and nested. They are quite easy to follow. And then we've got the shipping step, and within that there's more children. And then, so there we had, so step config, obviously it terminates, so I didn't need that and I copied that by mistake. And then we have got, so shipping step was in there, wasn't it? And then we've got the config, and then we've got children. It's not, yeah, sorry, yeah, it was children. Shipping step is, see, there's more children than the Von Trapps here, aren't they? So we've got like, we can ignore that for now, we'll just close that. Right, this is where we want to be. We want to be in the shipping address area. So I'm going to grab that, and that's the next one down. So within that child nest item, children item, one of the children is shipping address. There you go, look, so children, shipping address. Again, we've got a bit of config. We don't necessarily need that. And now, there's something in here where we'll be able to, where is it? I might have to just search for it, but it was one I found before. It's before. So here we go. We've got some befores. Before form. There we are. Is that the one inside? Shipping. Yeah. So if you step through it enough, there's a little hook here, look, called before form. So we're going to use that. Then you got another one, before fields, but we're going to use before form. And that's going to have some children. So shipping address, which is array. Then we're going to have children inside shipping address. So actually, I'll grab it from here to make sure I do it right. So we've got shipping address, children, for form, children. God, I'm glad I prepared this. Right. So we've got shipping address, item. And then we've got item, then we've got item, right, that checks out, doesn't it? That and that, yeah, so shipping address has got children, and then we're looking at before form, which is the one that I mentioned where it's got a little hook, what we can get into and add some stuff, and then inside that we've got children, and this, finally, and I'm gonna annotate it, is our component. Right, we're going to put our component here in this little space. What have I done there? Oh, I need a, there we go. Right, to remind me, so before I've even started, look, before I've even started on our custom code, look at the hoops I've had to jump through, and I'm just going to see, but I don't mind it. I'm not complaining. I'm just going to make sure this checks out. No, it doesn't. Look, I've got an invalid terminator somewhere, which you don't want an invalid terminator. You don't want a terminator on your ass. Right. There we go, that was a good guess, wasn't it? Right, so yeah, we've now got a valid terminator. Okay, and we're gonna start working on our actual our component. So inside our children we need, guess what? Item. And then inside that item is going to be named the name of our new component that we're adding. So in this one we're going to call it new. No, I tell you what, I was going to do something message, wasn't it? A message, our message, just to make sure that it's not going to be already used. I think message is already used, so we're going to say our message, and that's going to be like always an XSI array, and then I'm going to close that so I don't get any more invalid terminators. And then we're looking at the actual component itself, and this is where it gets more interesting. Right, so this is what I was calling one that I was messing about with, but we're going to change it and we're going to call it message. Right, so this is our actual component here, and this this is what sort of references, don't need that just yet, references our JavaScript file, the first file we're going to add. And it's going to be in, so let's do that now while we remember. So in view, we've got layouts, front end in, and then layouts and templates in there. We also need a web, which we've done before, we've covered before on the channel. When working with Knockout.js on the front end, we need a web, and we need because that takes us to here, and then we need a JavaScript folder, so the JS, and then we need a view folder in there because that's what I've called the path. It don't have to be, but that's what I've called it. And then in there, this is where we get our message.js. Right, so that's added. We're ready with that one. And then now we're going to pass some config into that JavaScript file to display on the front end. And I'm hoping again I'd get this right in terms of terminators. Yeah, right. That's good. Right, so we've got it's a welcome message, right? So we've got, this message is what we're going to pass into the JavaScript file, and then we're going to use the JavaScript file, Knockout.js, to render the message on an HTML file, so they're going to be coupled together. And this is the essence of a component, and this is a similar way to. This is basically, it's a component sort of methodology. All JavaScript frameworks use this type of methodology of components, and this is essentially, in JS language, is a prop, essentially, what we're passing, property. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that now. Right then. So the next thing we need to add then is a templates folder, because our JavaScript inside web, we need a templates folder. So templates folders work with JS folders. I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can see. So did I have that done right? Hang on, did I put that in view? That needs to be in web. Right. So we have JS folders and templates folders. They're best buddies, right? You got to have both if you're using this concept of JavaScript passing and hydrating HTML files. You need JavaScript and you need templates. So inside the template, and it's just template, it's not templates. It's templates here, but not here. So remember that, kids. One of those fun things that makes your module not work and you don't know why. Right, so we're going to call this message.html. This is a HTML file. Okay, and we're going to use a little bit of default Magento. There we go. Right, so this is like this is a good example of being able to use sort of default Luma. This will render a little message warning, and it's already sort of styled up. So that's why I'm doing that. Right, we're also going to use some JavaScript. So I'm going to put it in that to sort of show you how to use Magento models, so like JavaScript models, to get actual data from stuff. So in this first bit, we'll use the Magento customer model, and what we'll do is we'll show a message only if you're logged in, and I'll show you how to do that in Knockout. So let's get the HTML set up first. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to output the message. So the first thing to note here is we're going to data band the message, so text as a sort of a text string message, which we're going to pass in from here. Look, so we're going to pass in message. We're going to sort of process it in JavaScript, and then we're going to output it here. But we're only going to do it if the customer's logged in. So the way you would do that is, and this is how you do a parameter in Knockout, which I think I've covered before on the channel. It's like this commented out format, which is quite readable, to be honest. There's not wrong with it. And to process that, we need a JavaScript file. Now I have written this prior, so I'm just going to paste it in and then walk through it because it's easier that way, and it saves time and saves mistakes. So basically, it's a UI component using Knockout, and then we're grabbing data from the customer model, right? And that is correct, yeah. So main thing to note here, or one of the main things, is this defaults data object, referring to the template. So this is the template. Actually, that's incorrect. I copied it from core, so we've got Adam checkout, because that's the name of my module, so it has to be the namespace of the module, message. And then we're specifying that is customer login is from the customer model and is logged in, right? So that is what we're passing from there to here, is customer logged in, right? So it's going off that, so it's utilizing the model that's been passed into our JavaScript. And then as a rule, it's not going to render. I've put a note here, look, you must call super on components or they will not render. So essentially you just have to do that. I don't really understand or know the technical reason behind that, but just it's a rule, right? These frameworks have rules, right? So we're not going to argue with that. So this should essentially take our component, the information from our component, and it should render it in the HTML file here, passing straight through from here the name message, the string here to our component. So we'll give it a whirl. I don't think I've missed anything. See where, if it shows, it's not going to show because I'm not logged in, right? So I'm going to log in, and I did create an account earlier, but anyway, not showing, so that's intended, that's definitely intended. So I'm going to log in as a customer. There we go, showing. So that's the message. So that is quite a good way of explaining how, just basically, as I said, Occam's razor, get the easiest way to get something working, and then start working on more complex functionality. So that is essentially coming from this information here. So if I change this to hi, then refresh, it's going to change my message. So this is fairly static, right? But it was good to sort of show that, you know, we're getting some information from the model, which is useful. Now I'll just show you this as well, if I can. Where can I put this? So if I console, I can't do it. I'll tell you what, I'll do it on the next one. Do it on the next bit. So the next bit is we're gonna move this now to somewhere else. And say for example we want to do something with the actual quote of the order, like work out some discounts, or show the customer some bespoke information with regards to the pricing or something like that, utilizing what they've ordered. Then this is gonna sort of show you in some ways, and I know some of the comments, the requests that I've had through the channel are sort of around this. I've had a few different ones that are all around this sort of area, like getting prices in the checkout and showing it on the checkout and showing things on the checkout. So I'm hoping I'm getting this, I'm understanding it right from you. But if I'm not, I think still what I'm about to show you is gonna give you a good grounding, a good solid grounding for actually going away and doing it yourself with regards to, writing the scripts and writing the logic to be able to get what you want to show on the checkout to show. Because I'm going to basically show you how you can access everything that's useful within the quote. And the quote is what becomes the order in Magento. So, I sort of digressed there, and I also punched the mic, so apologies if I've just burst your eardrums. So like I said before, there was sort of areas within here that we can add stuff to. Right, so I'm going to jump about now. So what I'm going to do is, remember I showed you from this point here, there were steps. And now the other area here is sidebar. So seeing as though I've already got that working, there's not much I have to change here. So what I would firstly change is steps. So say I want to move this message into the sidebar, into the total section. So basically into this section here. Right, I want to show it up here somewhere. I'm going to move it. So firstly, I'm going to show you how easy it is now once you've got this structure written to sort of manipulate it in a way that you just change a few things and it'll go to a different place in the checkout. And that's mainly because the majority of these nodes in the checkout, like I think all of the nodes actually, but progress bar, estimation, they're all structured in a very similar way. And they all have areas what you can sort of pin onto. So we've got items before here, and items before will replace shipping address, I believe, and I think I've got to remove this one. I'm just going to check because I did test this earlier to make sure I want to ask about. Yeah, that was it, right. So we've got sidebar, and then instead of shipping address, we've got summary, and I'll show you that. I forgot about that. So summary is inside there. So we've got sidebar, summary. So I was showing you what sidebar. Inside that is summary, and then inside that is is my items before that I'm trying to now latch onto and add my component to. So I think that's all I have to change. It sidebar to items before. The rest of the structure is about right. I'm just going to see if it works. Right, it hasn't worked, I think. Let's just see. I borrowed this. I think I might have missed I've missed something. And I can't see the wood for the trees at the minute, but I'll be able to explain in a sec. So we've got sidebar, children, summary, children, items before. Sidebar, children, sidebar, children, summary, children, items before. Yeah, that's right. Then we've got children. Items before. Then we've got children. Ah, look at that. I've kept in before form. Right in. So I can get rid of that. I can get rid of that node. So that was my mistake, I believe. So then we'll just have children and then our component. Still not having it. Why not? Let's just skip to the next step. Right, just bear with us a second. So, we had children items before, an array type. So we've got I'm just going to paste this in because it will save us time. I'm not quite sure, if I'm honest, what I missed, but these things happen, and I don't like to edit my tutorials, so you're stuck. Right, items before, summary, probably spelt something wrong knowing me, probably just spelt something wrong and you all probably saw it, and I'll probably look like an idiot. Yeah, that looks alright now. Let's give it another go. Yeah, there we go. I must have spelt something wrong. But anyway, there we go. We've got, yeah, so items before the items look, we've got a little message, which is a handy little place to tell the customer something. But we might want to tell the customer something more than obviously when they're logged in, so it can be a bespoke sort of thing for a customer to say when you're logged in, show this message, so we can keep that parameter. We could get rid of it. I might actually get rid of it for the purposes of just changing some stuff. So if I wanted to get rid of the fact that they had to be logged in to be able to see it, I would simply get rid of those. Right, but also let's get rid of that, and then let's have a look at what else we can do with this JavaScript file. So remember earlier we got the was UI component. It was just a basic UI component, and then we got the model, the customer data from there. Well, you can actually get, and I'll show you where this is actually. Let's just have a quick search. tell you what, I'll paste it all in and then I'll show you. So basically I got this from Magento Core and I thought, I'll tell you what will be in here, everything I need to use it, everything I need to do what I need, right? So if I just search for, tell you what I did was, I thought to myself, what gives us the grand totals in here, right? So when I get the grand total, where is it? So I had a look, Magento Checkout, JS, View, Summary, Grand Total. So if I go to here, so if I go to Reveal and Explorer View there, and I just go to Web, JS, and then I follow this, JS View, Summary, Grand Total. So I thought, tell you what, this is useful, innit? Obviously it's pointing to the wrong template, but this information is useful. Because it's getting, it's basically the quote that I was after. I thought this, yeah, we'll try and mimic this in our own, right? So we've got component and we've got quote coming through, and then I've already changed this, but I sort of changed it to one I was working on before, which was calculating some savings, but it didn't really do anything original, to be honest, because the discount, when I was putting in discounts, it was showing that in the checkout anyway, so I abandoned it. Anyway, look, I've got some stuff going on in here that might be useful to you. So this is what I found useful. So first of all, we'll just, because I'm passing the quote here, we can pick up the quote, and I'm going to also then we're going to output that to the console to show you, and then also I'm going to output just the price into this area to sort of show you it works. So instead of message, we're going to output the price. So price is going to come instead of this message. There we go, $79.99. Right, but look in our console here. See if I make this a bit bigger. Right, we've got everything we need in here to build functionality from. Look, so this is essentially the quote array that's coming from the JavaScript model of quote. So it's coming from here. So a bit like the customer one. You could get both in here if you needed to. There's other functionality in here, get pure value and all that to get the formatted price, which is all useful for purposes of this tutorial, but this is the key thing that I'm looking at here. Console log quote. So as I say, in that quote we've got everything in here. We've got subtotals, we've got all the items, the item information, we've got whether the item's discounted, we've got whether the order's discounted, we've got the shipping amounts, we've got these segments which are useful, which should just carry like a little bit of a UI, you know, something that you could hydrate a UI with. So just as sort of a final, what would we do if we wanted to sort of get to one of these items in the array? Because obviously this is just called items, grand total, stuff like that. It might be a little bit abstract. Well, the giveaway is sort of here, look. Look, we've got get totals here, look. I was logging totals as well there, look. So you get everything from the quote. So if I wanted to sort of get so the items, which I had in there before, so get, and then I'd say items, I can basically get using the get function. So that was get totals and this is get items. So items is here, so it'd get items, so it's get item quantity or get shipping amount. So there's all sorts of ways you can basically all sorts of information you can get to. So I'm going to output the items here now. What have I done wrong? I said that with such confidence, didn't I? Said that with such confidence. There we go. Items. Because there's more than one. Right, so there we go. We've got a nice little array, look, with the items in it. And then you could pass these to a variable, and then you could get the date that added to the cart, or I mean, think of the functionality. So think of this. I say again, think of the Magento Checkout as its own component-based single-page application, and just imagine what you can do with it. I think I screwed up the old totals there, but so I'm just going to put that back before I yeah, So we'll just get rid of that. So you see it's gone to 0, but if I put that back, and then I even put back my the last naming convention that I used for those files, so we'll fix that as well. But look how quickly it updates. Oh, by the way, just a final tip, and I try and say it in all my videos. So there we go, we've got the items again coming out nice, and we've got the price, look, and it's in a little message which we added to the cart. So we've done quite a bit of stuff in this little tutorial. When you're working on the checkout, what you want is to switch off. You want it in developer mode, and you want to switch off layout when you're working with any module, full page, and block HTML. And that about wraps it up, to be honest. I think in terms of getting you started, beginners, working with a checkout, think about it, as I say, as a single page application. Get to the quote if you need to be able to work with numbers and the order. Also, you can, as I mentioned earlier in the tutorial, you can get to the customer model as well, which is, just to refresh right at the end here, which is this one. So you could pass customer in if you wanted to, and you can really build some bespoke functionality there. I think I've given you the tools there. Go away and build me a wooden shed. And that about wraps it up. So if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please hit me up in the comments. I love that. I love it when people ask me questions, and you know, anything goes. And stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.